what's important to me? What are my values? What am I doing? Should I even be in the job that I'm in or do the things that I'm doing? Or is there something else? I'd never really taken that time to dig into me. We often can get wrapped up in the minutia of the day and things that are irritants and things that bother us and things we're stressed about or things we want to achieve that we haven't achieved. And there's typically no shortage of things to be worried about. I know before we knew what COVID was, we didn't know to worry about it. And then when it did come about, it became this all-encompassing worry. And the things that we were worried about seemed to get pushed aside or forgotten as we now focused on the new worry of COVID. And now that that's sort of ebbing off, or at least seemingly to be very different than it was a couple of years ago, I'm sure people don't feel like, oh, I now have nothing to worry about, right? They've just replaced those worries with new worries. So there's always something that you can focus on and be worried about. And I've once heard it said that if you listed off the top 5 things that you were worried about or stressed out about, you had 5 things, and one of those things was your health, you wouldn't worry about the other 4. Because if you have your health, that's like the thing, right? And so, and even if you don't, even if, you're in that moment when you're in the wheelchair, whatever, you're alive, you're breathing, you're drawing air, you have the ability to influence people in a positive way. But certainly finding things to be grateful for, when you can start off with that number one thing and say, man, I'm happy to be healthy. I can get up and move. I can go for a walk. I can see my kids. My kids are healthy. We're not all sitting in a hospital room right now. We're not hooked up to machines. That's like thing one. And when you have that, man, everything else is really like icing on the cake, right? So yeah, finding that thing to be grateful for and recognizing that we can choose to see the negatives. They're always going to be there, man. And you can choose to see the positives. And there's so many things to be thankful for. So, I would say if I look, so just for your, I can't remember if you do a video release of this or if it's just audio, but for those that you will do video. Okay. So people can see I got a little gray in the beard. So I'm 54, I'll be 55 here in a few months, year-old guy. And so I did 30 years of corporate career leading up to eventually leaving the corporate world about a year and a half ago to start my own coaching and consulting business and some other things that I do. And that 30-year corporate career, there were many challenges along the way. And a theme that I would say that came up over and over for me over my corporate career was disappointment, right? So I spent most of my career in sales and marketing, and I prided myself on working, very, very hard and achieving at a high level. I just always prided myself on a work ethic, right? The ability to work hard and to work with integrity and honesty and do it the right way to achieve at a high level. And, it was something that I owned. I was like, that's me. And if I look at my corporate career, it was full of successes that would ultimately end in some level of a disappointment. So a sale that I felt like I had earned that I ultimately, for whatever reason, wouldn't get credit for, wouldn't get paid for. And when those things would happen, I felt such a level of betrayal and almost naive shock that this would happen, that it would cause it would change my entire focus and my willingness to keep working hard and keep doing the things that I said, hey, this is what I'm bringing to the game. But if the game's going to be played this way, I don't want to play. And so ultimately what would happen is I would typically leave and go somewhere else, go to a different employer. And then that theme would repeat. And as I got later in my career and I thought, man, this keeps happening. What's the common denominator here? I had to be honest with myself and say the common denominator was me, right? Why do I keep allowing this to happen? Like, what's going on with me? And this happened most recently for me right before I left my last corporate job and started my own thing. And I was in such a difficult place, just emotionally, and I felt like that same betrayal had happened again, and that same disappointment had happened again. And I thought, man, this is, I've been doing this enough that I have to see the commonality as me. And so I need to do some work on me and figure out what's going on here. So for the first time in my life, I hired my own coach I'd had coaches given to me and provided for me by my employers over the years as incentives or as rewards. But this was the first time I spent my own money, my own time on a coach. And the whole goal was, let me figure out me. Like, what's important to me? What are my values? What am I doing? Should I even be in the job that I'm in or do the things that I'm doing? Or is there something else? I'd never really taken that time to dig into me. And so I did that and spent a couple of years working with a coach. And I came to this conclusion that my place on this planet was really more to pour into others, to offer the experiences, the lessons that I learned over the years and give to others. That the most important things to me, my best days were when I was investing in humans, when I was around people. And it really wasn't about money. It wasn't about accolades or titles or power, things like that. Even though I often strive for those exact things, I would strive for them, I would reach them. I wouldn't really necessarily feel satisfaction in them or any sort of real accomplishment. I would just move on to the next thing. And so it left me feeling, a bit empty. And then if something betrayal would happen, and I'll call it a betrayal, something that I thought was just wasn't right, just wasn't fair, it would just be so harmful. And I thought, man, what's going on here that I feel this way and others don't seem to be feeling this? And I thought, there's this human connection for me that I love, the human interaction, the human dynamic. I love feeling like I'm investing in others, pouring into others. And I like it when I feel that coming back to me. And so when I would feel those betrayals, it was just it was so opposite of what I really found valuable. It led me to, this isn't the place for me, right? I need to be out and really spending my time with other people and really feeling like I'm making a difference in other people's lives. And so, yeah, that was a challenge. I would say a recurring challenge. It took a lot to get over. And there were some, there were some real, some tough years in there dealing with that recurring theme,